a month ago, 2 months ago, he phrased it as, I'm hoping, we went
Right.
over it a million times, hoping to add, not subtract, et cetera, et cetera. It's the same thing. Now, they would like us to present that in a way that suggests they're building and they're adding. Now, the reality is payroll is going to be down like 30 million from next year
Well,
over
right.
year.
You're right. Yes.
And so it's better than the alternative, which it seemed to be trending even as recently as a couple weeks ago, where it was like, oh, he was kind of hinting that Cody Clemens might be the starting first baseman, and he was hinting that, they might have to clear salary just to add anything in terms of relievers.
Right.
And, we talked about how pathetic that would be because their payroll is like 90 million right now, and it was 135 the past 2 years and 163 years ago. So now the shift has been, Falvey, and, correct me if I'm wrong, obviously, I'm just reading through the transcripts that you send me, but it seemed like he was saying, what I had hoped, what I had talked to you guys about for the past 2 months is coming to fruition. And to your point, it was like they're imminently going to join the ownership group. And he kind of said, I pitched them on, I think he even said path A, path B, path C.
Right.
And that's something he's talked about with the poll ads in the past, where at the beginning of
Yeah.
the offseason, he'll say, here's kind of how we could approach this. If we want to try to hit a home run here, we go sign Carlos Correa. If we don't want to do that, we sign Harrison Bader, and everything in between. And I suspect that, path A was, get us back to a $135 million payroll, and
Right.
I can go sign a whole bunch of stuff and we can
Right.
have a real competitive team in the AL Central. Path B is probably where they are right now, and we'll get into that even more here, where it's like, well, it's going to be 110 or 115 million dollar payroll. That's at least what Dan Hayes, my partner at the Athletic, was speculating. You can chime in on that. Or Path C was like, we got to trade Pablo Lopez because
Yeah.
90 million is too
Yeah.
much. And
Right. That's
so
right. Yep.
it's a little bit like the draft discussion that we were just talking about. Three's fine, compared to
Right.
the bad
Yes.
options.
Right. That's right.
Path B is much preferable to Path C, which was, cutting this thing to the bone and trading guys just to dump salary. But I'm at least I'm not going to portray it as anything but another
Sure. Of course.
salary cut. And,
Yeah.
we've talked a million
I mean,
times, Lee.
path A was just keep it was to stay the course. It was,
Right.
and that which was already a salary cut from what
Yes.
we saw like 3 years ago. Right.
Yeah, I mean, over the course of 3 years, they're going to have gone from like 160 and change
Right.
to who knows 114 or something like that. I mean, that is
Right.
while the rest of the league has risen by 20 million on average or something. So, and one of the things we talked about at the beginning of the offseason and this whole time is like what makes this inevitability of either B or C, because we knew it wasn't going to be A, it wasn't going to be $140 million payroll. The inevitability of it is I do think they're in a position where adding a couple of bats and two or three good relievers and a couple of bench players could make them competitive in what is always one of the worst divisions in baseball.
Sure.
Now they're going to have to attempt to do that with, very little spending room, and we're
Right.
going to talk a lot about that, like kind of what their actual maneuverability here and if they can create any more. So I don't know. Part of me is like, well, this is, you know, preferable to Cody Clemens being locked in at first base. Like
Yeah.
you guys actually got Falvey to say they might try to sign a hitter, which he wasn't saying a month ago, right?
Yeah.
I mean, in addition to him saying he was going to sign some relievers, which they have been pretty open about, but
Right.
it's still cuts. Like it's still
Listen, there's a big difference. Listen, there's just a big difference between having $20 million to spend on the free agent market or $15 million to spend on the
right.
free agent market and being able to spend $40 million on the free agent
Yeah.
market. Like it's a huge difference, especially
That's two good players probably.
right. Exactly.
Or
Right.
if
Yeah.
not that, the players that you get are B level players instead of
Right.
C or D level players,
That
basically.
that's right. And what we are seeing here reminds me more of the Twins of Falvey or something. I guess from like 2018, 2019, which is they are, quote, waiting for the market to come to them. They are not going out and, I mean, to some extent they did that with Donaldson, and to some extent they did that with Correa. Like they waited for the market to come to them. And, both of those guys' values fell and they were able to reach out and get them. But I don't think even if a high level player's value falls, they're not going to be able to
No.
get it. What they're going to be able to get is if a Nelson Cruz type who instead of signing for $12 million is available for $8 million. Maybe they can stretch and get that. To me, or a more recent example, Harrison Bader out there looking for a $10 million contract because center fielders make $10 million, and he gets to January and now he's got a six. They give him an offer for 6.25 and he signs. I feel like that is more the level we are talking about than we are talking about the upper levels. And I think we're going to, and to the good news is for Twins fans is the two markets that they are targeting for that, or that they are needing, are markets that often have, decent fines in them. Whether it is a bat first position player or it is a relief pitcher. Those are two markets that are generally have a couple of bargains that sort of, when the music stops, there's some guys left without chairs, and you can, and some of those guys might be really good. They just didn't time the market right. So, and
Yeah,
that's what they're hoping.
it is interesting. Like, I'm certain if people go back and listen to like the first 2, 3 episodes of the offseason, where we were much more speculative in terms of, they hadn't laid anything out really,
Right.
or even at the end of the season, like this is basically what we thought they were
Yeah.
going to
Right.
do.
I mean, this
But
is
then,
almost immediately what we thought after the GM meeting. Coming away from the GM's meetings, even we were kind of talking about. It feels like this is what they're talking about. I don't feel like they're going to be trading away Lopez and Ryan and so on. That they're instead just going to get some low wattage relievers and bat to plug in here. But then, yeah, we had all the distractions from basically a lot of other markets talking about Lopez and Ryan. And, sometimes that can be legitimate because the Twins are talking to them, but they're not telling us that they're talking to them, right? They're
well,
talking to
I'm
other
not even
teams.
talking. Yes, you're right. But I'm not even talking about the trade stuff.
Okay.
I'm saying more. That is true. I'm saying more, because 3 days ago or whatever, Ken Rosenthal reported that changed
Sure.
that approach
Right.
too.
Yeah.
And you talked to Falvey, and we can get into this too, but like he basically confirmed that that's the case, that they're going to they plan to hold on to Buxton, Lopez,
Right.
and Joe Ryan.
Well,
But
and I'll just add this: the Twins leaked that prior to the winter meetings for a reason. Like they told Rosenthal and that to get it reported for a reason before the winter meetings.
well, I mean, yeah, this is how this works. But yeah, I mean, you're
Yeah.
right.
Right. And welcome to the end of this video. There's lots more. For another, just click on one of these boxes.
Or click on this circle in the middle to subscribe to all of our Twins Talk.
Thank you.